person of Mr. Lennart Pittja from Visit Sapmi. Lennart.
Thank you. I must say, I've been working with Sami tourism for many years now, and I love it. And I love to have the opportunity to speak and to talk about Sami culture and share Sami knowledge and values. But this is the first time that I'm really getting a little bit nervous standing in front of you, because this day is it's a big day. It's a dream coming true. Very emotional, but I'll try to behave. See how that goes. Yeah. My name. Wow. Lennart Pittja, that's my name. I'm a Sami person. I grew up in a reindeer herding family up in the north part of Sweden. How many of you have heard about Sápmi? Raise your hand. How many of you have heard about Lapland? Raise your hand. Oh, it's pretty equal. I'm going to talk a little bit about Lapland. I'm going to talk much more about Sápmi. And then you get the chance to interrupt me with questions at any time. So we'll see how it goes. Currently I'm working for Visit Sápmi. I've been doing that for about 3 years now. Before that, I had my own tourism company called Pathfinder Lapland. So I made trips up in the north part of Sweden on my land that was... people wrote about it in National Geographic Traveler and Lonely Planet and the BBC books, Journeys to Take Before You Die. Anyway, no one did, but because of that I went over to this Sapmi. But you know, for a long, long time I have been fighting with these stereotypes that so many of you have talked about. I'm going to show you one of them. The picture to the left, the man with a beard. Have you ever heard about him? Have you heard about the animal that he's handling? The pictures on the right there, they are from my Sami community. And I would say that half of this image, I'm not going to say which half is fake, and the other half is not. Use your imagination and try to figure out which is which. And ever since I started working within tourism, I've had this strange requests, questions. Could you do that? Could you do that? I mean, couldn't you wear your traditional Sami clothes and take the reindeer and come down to Stockholm and hold them outside the big supermarket? I mean, it's Christmas time. At the beginning I did, because I didn't know better. But it didn't take long before I had to stop to do that. And I also learned another thing. When I started my company, I had mostly short visits, like 1, 2, 3 hours. And I was repeating myself all the time. You know, telling the Sami story in extremely fast-forward mode. And telling the same story all over again. And I never get through that. You know, I said the same thing 3, 4 times a day. And that was really, really something that I couldn't do it anymore. So I had to do something else. But I still want to share the Sami story. So I had to do something else. And I started to do week-long reindeer hikes. If I get a week, I can maybe get close to give you a good lesson about Sami life. I can share some of the knowledge that we have. Living with a reindeer on the land. Making sure that our reindeer are safe. Well, you know, there's a lot of things going into this. But that was a story that needs at least a week, not shorter than that. Anyway, fast forward again to visit Sapmi, which is an organization that we started on the Swedish side. Sapmi is the name on the land where Sami people live. Sápmi stretches over 4 different countries. So it's Sweden, where I live, it's Norway, it's Finland, and it's the Kola Peninsula in Russia. Did you know this? See, I'm on a mission here. We started this organization roughly 3 years ago. And we started with doing what Ben has shared with us today. Trying to get to it, what are the values that we base this on? So we were told that, or I was told that this is what is called branding in the tourism industry. So that was what we were doing. Although I never looked at it in that way. But we needed to define what's Sápmi and what makes it so special for us. And how can we make that take away the other fake picture? Of course, it will never do that. But at least it will give another true picture out there to the world. So in the future, clients will be able to choose, okay, going to Lapland, to the Sami Disneyland, or going to meet the Sami people. At least, hopefully in the future, there will be a choice there. And these are the words that we decided on. All very familiar to all the indigenous people here. Holistic approach. When we talk about our life environment, and we have a meeting with the Swedish government, they need to bring in a busload of bureaucrats to be able to speak in the same way that we do. Because they need one person to cover one little area, one little section. It might be environment, or it might be business, or it might be tourism, or it might be culture, or... We don't do that. We are a part of a whole. And that's how it has to be. No borders. Today Sapmi stretches over 4 different countries, and these are borders that are not Sami. They were not put there by us. There's no difference on a Sami person living on the Norwegian side than if they live on the Swedish side. We are both Sami. So we felt that this was very important also to have as a part of our branding. Mutual respect. For so many years, my people and my culture has been used for developing Santa Claus tourism. And there's no respect in that. So we actually say that people are welcome, but you need to respect the Sami values. If you do, you will have a great experience. That we promise you. If you don't, you might have a nice picture, but it will only be an image and nothing more than that. So then it's a little bit up to you as a visitor. Wanderlust. Did I say that right?
Wanderlust.
Wanderlust. Okay. The whole foundation for the Sami culture is the reindeer. Our reindeer, they migrate the same way today as they always did. From the winter area down in the forest, up to the mountains in the summer. And we do too. Although nowadays we use cars, we do have that. It's also a part of the fake image that they don't really want to show that there's modern people living out there. I even know how to use a cell phone, you know. So we still follow the reindeer in the same way. They migrate like they always did. My grandfather, when he was herding his reindeer, he was spending all his life together with the reindeer herd, always on the way somewhere. So therefore, in my genes, my home is not in my house. It's where you can pick the berries. That might be in the mountains, or it might be down in the forest. But it's not in the house. And that's also something that is completely different from most people. So, we took this branding that we did with a lot of Sami people in a lot of discussions with them. And after many, many meetings, we actually yesterday signed an agreement with our national board called Visit Sweden. And we signed an agreement that they are not allowed to use the Sami culture like they did before in their PR for Sweden as a nation. We want them to use Sápmi to tell a story about Sweden, but they need to do it on our terms. And it has taken us 3 years almost, but yesterday they signed the paper. Okay, just very short, a little bit more about what we do about. I must read from the paper here. And I will say this word that I'm going to read only once because it's so complicated. But this cultural authenticity. Was that right?
Mm-hmm. Well
done. How do we make sure that people in the future will be able to choose true Sami experiences? Well, we talked about the branding, the values already. But we have also decided to create and launch a quality system that we call Sapmi Experience. And I'm just going to tell you briefly about that on the next slide. We also work with helping the reindeer herding communities, Sami communities, in doing management plans for how they how they want to see the use of the land in the future. And the difference in the tools that we use is that the foundation for this is the reindeer herding. That's like the normal. And that's what we want to keep for the future. So if there's a mining project coming in, they need to fit this according to us, where it's suitable for the reindeer herding. And again, a Swedish bureaucrat only knows how to deal with one area at a time. So they only therefore know about a mining project, if that's what they're working with. There's another bureaucrat working with windmills, and a third and a fourth working with hydropower exploitation. And there's forestry, and there's tourism. And no one has this whole picture except the Sami community that are facing all of these challenges and has fit this into the map, to the normal reindeer herding. And this is a very, I mean, this work will take a long time. And at the same time, we don't have that long time. There's so many mining projects going on now. In the Sapmi area, last year, we had projects to build windmills, and it was more than 4,000 of these big propellers. And if you look on them, one, separate from the other, I mean, it's good energy, but it has an impact on the land and on the landscape and on the life environment. And if there's 4,000 of them, there's a huge impact there. And we need to put this together, and we need to start to communicate this. We need to share, that's part of the Sami knowledge. And I think it's also part of the responsibility that we have as indigenous people. Because, in our thinking, we think so many generations ahead. And we just do that. It's like normal. So it's difficult for us to understand that most people don't. There are even theories about long-term investments in economics, and they're talking about 20 years. 20 years. That's like nothing. And the last thing we do, Anna, please forgive me, product development. Trying to help Sami service providers to put together a program that they're proud of. Okay, briefly, Sapmi experience. I don't know, this is something that we have been working on for since, well, almost 10 years in one or two different organizations. But when we started Visit Sapmi, we realized that if we're going to be able to show the real Sami content in an experience, we need to be able to tell the client that this is something that's been approved by the Sami people. It has a real Sami content. The owner of this company, they are Sami. And there's also a Sami, you share the Sami knowledge somehow. And it depends on what kind of business you're running. I mean, a Sami restaurant, for instance, they don't have a week's hike, of course. But if they're going to have the Sápmi Experience quality brand, it needs to be some kind of interpretation of your Sami knowledge. And you need to give that also, together with delicious food. You also need to share delicious and great and fantastic knowledge. And that's what Sápmi Experience is about. So we have ethical criteria, which is how do you interpret your Sami heritage? What are your ideas? What do you want to share? How do you want your clients to act when they come to you as a guest? And again, you need to have a guy that really knows what he or she is talking about. Service and quality, safety. I would suggest that it is a good idea that most people survive on the trips. Hospitality, I mean, we are in the business of working with people. Of course, we need to be able to do that. And also, as Keith told us about, you know, being professional, running this company in a good way, pay your taxes, answer your phone, update your website, don't be drunk at the trade show. Because if you go as a Sami representative to a trade show, that might be the first impression that the travel industry get of you. So beware. Said the Sami who was dancing till 3 o'clock this morning. I don't know if I would have passed it. But I didn't drink that much, so. Sustainability, life environment, where we try to put together, the company needs to put together a sustainable Sami life environment plan. On how are you, what kind of impact does your guests have on your land, but also on your community? And how do you make sure that this will continue to be a good experience also in the future? So now we have 12 Sami companies on the Swedish side that has been approved. And those are the companies that we will, now when Visit Sweden has signed this agreement, that's the companies that they will promote. So it goes together as a whole in this sense also. And just showing you finally the map of our Sápmi. And that was it. I survived. And you too. You too. So, questions?
We need a fun trip.
How is the population in Norway, Finland?
Almost half of the Sápmi population, which in total is maybe 150,000, lives on the Norwegian side. 25% on the Swedish side, and then Finland and a few thousand on the Russian side, on the Kola Peninsula.
And how do you prevent the windmills from being built in crowds of 4,000? How do you convince the other people that the indigenous people cannot bear that, or how is it done?
Well, what we start to see now is that for a long time, I mean, for a very long time, it's it's mostly been Sami people trying to protect the land. And we've been doing that, you know, by talking about the reindeer herding. But now we see that there are local people living up here in these areas. And one important reason why they are there is that they want to spend time out in nature. So now they also is getting more and more interested in preserving land. And with all of these mining projects going on, there's more and more that's getting in the line of protecting land. But I don't know if we will have time to organize and get so strong that we would need to be. But first of all, I mean, I was thinking about the same thing as many others has mentioned during the summit, something that Alexandra Cousteau told us about. This line that people, how was it? Do you remember?
We protect what we love and we love what we know.
Yeah, we protect what we love and we love what we know. And since Sápmi is completely unknown, we need to start there. And I started that for myself, doing that job many years ago, and we're continuing to do that. And more people listen. Yeah.
Well, actually, to answer my question.
Oh, really? Being a Sami in Sweden, I don't know. I would guess that you, as the rest of the world, has this impression that Sweden is like a perfect country. It's standing on all the minorities' side in the whole world. And they do. I mean, in the UN, Sweden has a long history of being for the minorities in the world. And the Swedish person, I mean, they perfectly understand what happened in Australia on your land. They understand it on your land. They understand it in New Zealand. But something happens in the brain on a Swede because they do not understand what happened on my land. And someone said earlier today that they didn't want to offend or, you know, show any disrespect for the government. I do. I really do want. I want them to be a little bit ashamed because they are taking such nice and great and important words in their mouth when they're standing in the UN. Well, you know the rest of that sentence.
This problem with authenticity is a big thing for all of us. And yesterday I was very disappointed that another Australian, as far as I was concerned, took very poorly to a man who was calling himself a little mouse. This really hurt me as an Australian, you know, because I know this man is not authentic. This man has no feelings. He comes from a culture that does not have feelings. This is a big thing in myself that I feel that this little small mouse is overtaken and not seen because his poster is not the size of an elephant, because he cannot afford a pretty picture. I felt that in my own country, so I see my people, they're not chasing to be millionaires, they chase a lifestyle, to be able to live on their land without selling out to mining. You see? So I sat on my river and I said, how can we overcome this? And I took it to my board, the Waitop board. And for me, I envisaged boomerangs, different types of boomerangs, starting from brass to platinum. when I looked here today, I said, every one of us in our country carried a spear. And I think maybe winter can take on the role of creating something for authenticity. So I say someone like yourself and myself to run our own business, and that little mouse would be a platinum spear. And the man standing up on the platform there, as big as he was, would be just a brass one. I think that through winter maybe we can help this authenticity for the world.
I mean, we cannot change everything, but we can change some things. And in a couple of weeks back home where I live, my brother and my nephews, they're going to go out to get the reindeer gathered on our land. As soon as it starts to snow and the ice comes on the lake, they will go up to the mountains. And our land, it's 300 kilometers long. It's 100 kilometers wide. And they're going out to gather the reindeer, put them together in a big herd, and take them down from the mountain. That whole thing with gathering the reindeer, it starts with my brother finding the first reindeer that he starts to take down. Soon enough, there's 2 and 3. And there's 10 and there's 15 and there's 100. And at the end of the migration, there might be 6,000–7,000 reindeer. But without the first one, there would be none.